Hey, welcome everybody. So glad you're here. Really excited for this session. We've got a fun session for you planned today. This is Level Up Video Editing with WeVideo. Please share to the chat. We'd love to know who's attending these sessions. So please share to the chat, where you're tuning in from. We always love to see that. So, yeah, in this session, I'm going to be sharing basically a bunch of like video editing tips that are sort of like essentials for any video editor for leveling up the videos that you are creating. Yeah, you'll be able to take these tips with you and immediately apply them to your own creations. All right, Chris, aloha. I'm guessing coming in from Hawaii. Brittany from Arizona, Tori from Washington, awesome. Frank from LA, glad you're here. Jana from Milwaukee. Wow, lots of people. I can't even keep up with it. Kelsey from Nashville, Chris from Sarasota, awesome. Welcome. Got people all across the country. Thank you so much for tuning in. Santa Fe, Carrie. Love Santa Fe. Spent a lot of time there. All right, great. So thank you all for being here. So like I mentioned, this is Level Up Video Editing with WeVideo, and I'm going to be sharing a bunch of sort of essentials for video editors, tips and tricks to help you level up your videos. If you want to log into WeVideo and kind of follow along and sort of try practicing what I'm demoing while I'm demoing it, of course, feel free to do so. I did put a button up here. It says sign up here, where you can access a link to a free trial if you're not already a WeVideo user, and get access to all of our premium features, including our full stock media library, which has over 1 million video clips, audio clips, and images in the library. So really robust library there. All right, let's jump into it. So my name is Stu Jernigan. I am the Senior Manager of Content and Education Programs at WeVideo. I'm a former high school humanities teacher myself, and I used to lead professional development for the San Francisco Unified School District. I launched our digital storytelling program there. So I've worked with a lot of people around like media creation and media design over the years. And that's part of why I'm excited to be here with you all. So, okay, I'm going to jump into it. So we're going to just sort of run through some different tips that you can use to elevate your videos, starting with picture-in-picture. And this is using the transform tool basically to adjust scale and other properties. So I'll share an example of picture-in-picture with you all, and then I'm going to show you how you can do that, how you can create a picture-in-picture in the editor in WeVideo. So here's an example from an animal documentary I made about sloths. Although sloths look similar to monkeys, they are actually related to armadillos and anteaters. Sloths are herbivores. Okay, so short little clip there for you all. And so I'm going to jump over into the editor and we are going to demo how to create something like that. So I've got a little clip here similar to the one we just looked at with slightly different content. So let's look at this clip and then think about how we might want to use picture-in-picture in this clip. Sloths move very slow and sleep 20 hours a day. This helps them be less noticeable to predators like hawks and cats, which rely on eyesight to find their prey. Okay, so we've got this clip where we're talking about how sloths move really slowly. That helps them hide from predators like hawks. So wouldn't it be great to then show an image of a hawk while still showing the sloth in the tree, so we can kind of show that relationship of the sloth being camouflage or difficult to see for the hawk. So I've got a clip in the project bin here, but to access a clip of a hawk, you can just go to videos to access the stock media library, and you can search for the content that you're looking for. I found this one is the one I'm going to use. So I've got my sort of A-roll set up here on the video track 1, and then I've got a text 1 track here. I'm just going to label that video 2. And so I'm just going to drag this clip of the hawk over the onto the video 2 track above my clip of the sloth. Okay, so now we're just seeing the clip of the hawk because the top track there uh, is the front layer, right? The tracks work like layers, so any track above another track is going to be a layer in front as far as what we see. So we just need to adjust that layer. So as long as I have this clip selected, I can click edit here in the editor, or I can just double click on this clip as well. That's going to open up the effects panel where we have lots of really cool features that we can use that we'll be covering today. One of them is the first one is the transform tool, and it's super easy to just scale this down, right? And sort of them that reveals the clip behind it. So maybe we'll go like 0.25, and we can just click and drag to kind of move this around. And then we've got something that looks like this. Less noticeable to predators like hawks and cats, which rely on eyesight. Okay, and that's pretty good, but the hawk is also pretty small in that clip, so we could further adjust that. So I'll double click on that clip again to open the effects panel, and then I'm just going to crop this image. So we'll just kind of bring it in from the left, bring it in from the right. We can also click and drag from the preview window to crop. Super simple. This is one of the things I love about WeVideo is it is so easy to use, really intuitive. You don't have to be a professional video editor with years of experience. It's something that anyone can kind of jump in and intuitively figure out. So okay, so we've cropped that image. Now let's bring the scale up a little bit and then reposition it. And now we've just got a clearer image of the content that we are talking about. And so now our clip looks like this. Sloths move very slow and sleep 20 hours a day. This helps them be less noticeable to predators like hawks and cats, which rely on eyesight to find their prey. Okay, pretty clear demonstration, visual demonstration of the content that we're looking at. So, okay, so that is picture in picture, a strategy that video editors frequently use to enhance their videos. Okay, next feature, next strategy, video editing technique that I want to share with you is the Ken Burns effect. So it's using the animation tool in the effects panel, essentially to animate static images. You can also use this on video clips to create like a zoom or a pan effect. Maybe you had a shot that was shot with like a still camera, but you wanna in post add a pan effect or a zoom effect. You can actually do that really easily within the video editor. Um, it's called this technique is called the Ken Burns effect because Ken Burns used it frequently in his history documentaries to animate static images and take sort of content that you could use to visualize history and just make it more dynamic, right? And here's a great example of applying the Ken Burns effect to a static image, right? And now we've got this nice little pan and zoom happening. It just sort of brings history to life. You also have popular examples like Reading Rainbow animating the pages of a book as well. So it can be great for like read alouds and things like that. So how do you create a Ken Burns effect? Let's jump into the editor. Here I have this static photograph. We can imagine we're making a history documentary about ancient Rome. So we've got a picture of the Colosseum. Maybe I even want this to look like a photograph that was taken, long ago. I could even apply, before we get into Ken Burns effect, I could even apply a filter to this image. So as long as my clip is selected, highlighted in purple, I can click filters, and we have lots of different options. But if you go to mono, you can get these mono color, monochrome images. And so we could select black and white, and then now we've got a nice black and white image. Might fit a little bit more with the aesthetic of our history documentary. So if I want to apply the Ken Burns effect to this now, again, I'm going to double click on that clip or select it and click edit to open up the effects panel. And then I'm just going to go to the animation tool, next one down from transform and crop that we just used. And so basically the way this works is we select a start and an end position. And scale. So those are our two options, position and scale, and we're just gonna set the start and the end, and then it's gonna sort of automatically animate for us. Super easy. So if we wanted to like zoom in on the Colosseum, all we'd have to do, we see that the start scale is 1.11, and the end is also set to 1.11 because we haven't changed anything. We could just come in here and say, okay, let's say 1.3, and let's look at what that looks like. Nice little subtle zoom. Okay. Um, but I'm going to reset that. Maybe we want to do a pan instead. So we're going to need to zoom in on this photo a little bit to pan so that like, because if, for example, if we just panned across right now, our image would move off of the screen. Um, Although that wasn't too bad. That was really only at the end. So I guess we could actually accomplish this with just a shorter pan there. So that's okay. But one thing you might want to do, I'm going to reset this again, is just zoom in. Like, let's see what 1.5, what about 1.4? Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, and we'll kind of adjust that start position and scale, and then we'll put the end at 1.4 as well. And then we'll just kind of adjust the position here, just clicking and dragging in the preview window, super easy. And then we can see now we have a nice pan across that photo, kind of revealing the Colosseum as we go. And then of course we could combine these features too. Like we've got an interesting image up here of sort of the collapsing facade of the Colosseum, right? Maybe we want to focus in on that one. So maybe we want to start over here. Maybe we want to be like a 1.5, start over here, and then we want to end really focusing in on this facade. We can up the scale. So now we're going to have like a zoom and a pan together. And that is going to look like this. So you can really focus in on specific details of an image that you want to draw your audience's attention to. So that's super easy. Just using the animation tool, just adjusting the start and end position and scale. And again, you could do this with video clips as well as static images. Really easy to create a Ken Burns effect. Now, I do want to show you, I'm going to hop over here to the end of my clip because I do want to show you, there's also another way that you can kind of automatically set this up. So if I was going to create a history documentary and, maybe I have like 10 images that I'm going to use. I've already saved some images, but you can also go to, you can upload your own images. So you can go to uploads, you can click add media and upload your own images. And if you're creating a history documentary, there are lots of great resources out there where you can find photographs that are licensed for use. Like Unsplash is a great resource for that. That are licensed for fair use, so you can use them without having to worry about copyright. You might have to cite the photographs, but they'll let you know what you need to do. And then all of the stock media, all the media in our stock media library, our essentials library, is royalty free. So if you have a premium account, you can use it. You can export your videos and you can share them, and that is all royalty free. It's all licensed for you to be able to use. So we do have a ton of images in our stock media library. I could search like let's see, ancient Rome. I could find a bunch of photos, and then I can hold down Command to select multiple photos. Okay, and we got a lot of Colosseum. Let's find some other ones. Okay, so I've selected multiple photos. Now I'm going to click and drag those photos, and you can see I've got 5 photos I'm dragging down at once. I'm going to click and drag them all together down to the video 1 track. And when you select multiple photos and drag them down, you get this little pop-up, and it's asking you how many seconds or frames do you want these photos to be on screen. So let's say like 4 seconds. And then do you want to automatically apply the Ken Burns effect to the photos? Yes, we do. Now, instead of having to go in and manually use the animation tool to animate these photos, the video editor has automatically applied those animations. And so you can see we get these nice animations, and you can always adjust that. Like if I, want to make some adjustments to this one, I don't necessarily want it to zoom. I can of course always come in here and use the animation tool and just adjust the end scale and position. Let's really zoom in there just to show this dramatically, right? Maybe I'd even adjust the start position on this one so that it fills the screen. And then you can kind of custom do that. By the way, I wasn't planning on demoing this, but since I got an image that didn't fill the screen, just so you know, from the transform tool, you can add a blurred background, and that's going to bring that image. You can see the difference. I'll go back and forth. It's going to bring that image in as a background and blur it to fill the screen so you don't have those black lines on the side. Just a little trick for you all to know about. Okay, so that is the Ken Burns effect. So let's go back to my slides here. Next thing I want to show you is how to use the green screen and chroma key tool in WeVideo. Super fun tool. If you're an educator, I mean, kids love using this. It's there's just like the creative possibilities are endless. There's so much you can do. Um, and also like as an educator or just a creator, whatever your role is, whoever you are, there's just so much you can do with this. If you're a teacher, you can turn, you can create instructional videos. Maybe you're going to give a lecture about marine biology. You can use the green screen to put yourself at the bottom of the ocean amidst a coral reef and deliver your lecture, with video footage of the content that you're talking about, or put yourself in space, right? Whatever the topic is, you can really bring it to life using the chroma key tool. And that includes creators, anything you're making a video about. This is a really useful tool for you as well. So I'm going to jump back into the editor and show you how this works. So I've got a couple clips set up here. And so I've got a background clip here on the video 1 track, and then I've got a green screen clip on the top. On the track above it, sorry, on the video 2 track. And so right now we're only seeing the green screen clip again because that works as a front layer. The video 2 track on top is going to be the front layer, and we haven't removed the background. Just so you know, of course, you can shoot your own green screen clips, and the way you could do that just from within the editor without even using a different device, you could go to the project bin or the uploads tab, and you will find again that add media option. And if you click record, you'll have the option to take a webcam recording. And so if you have a green screen or even just a blank background, it doesn't have to be chroma green. The reason we use green screen and the chroma green color is because people don't tend to wear that color. So there's high contrast from, clothing, whereas like a blue screen, people tend to wear like blue jeans. So there's, not as much high contrast. And then chroma green has high contrast from all skin tones. So it's a good background color for being able to remove that color without removing other colors that you want to maintain on screen, including clothing, skin tones, hair, and other objects, right? But really, it can be any color. So the background can be any color as long as there's high contrast from the objects and the people, objects and subjects that you want to remain on screen. So, so again, yeah, you can record your own green screen clips. We also have tons of green screen clips in the stock media library. So if you click videos, you can search like green screen, and then you could just pick like a topic that you're, something you're looking for, like green screen turtle, and look at all these options that come up, right? So that's how I found this clip. And the way we would use the chroma key tool is, again, I'm just going to open the effects panel by double clicking on this clip, and I'm going to go to keying this time, the next one down. And all you do is you select the color picker and select the color you want to remove. Okay, great. And voila, that background is removed. Now, we do have some tools that you can use to kind of make adjustments if the color removal isn't like perfect on the first try. And so the defringe slider is super useful, and you can kind of look at the edges and see, right now I'm bringing the green back in. We obviously don't want to do that. We can slide the other way, and we can see the edges getting smaller. So it's just kind of finding that sweet spot. Sometimes you'll find, like, if you have like shadows, if you're shooting your own footage with green screen, you want to make sure that you don't have any wrinkles in your green screen. You don't want to have shadows, because all of those create color variation, and so you might not get as smooth of a chroma effect if you have like shadows and things like that. But one thing you can do to kind of make adjustments, if that's the case, is you can click Show Mask, and that's going to reveal where you've removed color and the transparency on your screen. So the black represents transparent part of the screen, white represents the opaque part of the screen where we've left the subject, right? And then you can kind of use the defringe sliders also with the mask turned on. So you can kind of fine tune adjustments that way. And then just remember that, to turn it off when you're done so that your image comes back in. Okay, so now, like I said, now we've got this teacher or anybody really at the bottom of the ocean providing instruction about marine biology. Okay, so the other example I wanted to show, just using the green screen, we've got this beautiful nature scene here, but maybe we want to add, something to this scene. So I want to add some birds to this scene just to make it kind of come to life. And so, oops, this one we already did the effect on. Let me just reset that. So um, here we've got a green screen clip with some birds. So I'll just go in. You know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to click key in, click the color picker, and click remove. And again, I can click show mask, make adjustments as needed. But I think we're going to be good just how it is. And let's see how this changes our scene. Okay, now we've got just more going on in the scene. And then what we could do too to just kind of bring the scene to life, we can use the audio stock media library. And let's find some sound effects. We'll search birds. This one seems to be pretty good. We'll just drag that down to the audio track. I love using S on my keyboard, just putting the playhead where I want to split the clip. Use S on the keyboard to split it. And then now look at this scene. Pretty lifelike, pretty realistic, right? All right, so that's the chroma key tool and using the green screen effect. The next thing I want to show you is using a speed ramp. Okay, and so this is using the speed tool in WeVideo to create a speed ramp. Here is an example of a speed ramp. Okay, so it's something you could use anytime you have like a long clip that you want to show the whole clip, but it's going to just take too much time in your video to show the whole clip, and you want to just kind of quickly move through it. You can start at regular pace, and then you can speed up in the middle of the clip, and then slow it down at the end of the clip. I'll show you that one more time. And then I also use the stock media library, added a sound effect, that whoosh sound, to go with as the camera is speeding up. Just adds another element to make it a little bit more realistic. So let's check that out again one more time. Okay, so how do you create a speed ramp? Let's go into the editor. Here I have this clip, this kind of tilt up of the Eiffel Tower. Maybe we only have space for like 3 seconds in our video clip, or in our video for this clip. But of course, we don't want to just like only tilt up halfway up the Eiffel Tower. We want to show the whole thing, right? So to create a speed ramp, I'm again going to double click on the clip to open up the effects panel. We're going to skip color for now. We'll come back to that. And I'm going to go to speed. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the range. So I do want to keep the edges of the clip at normal speed. So I'm going to adjust the range that I'm going to be editing. And I can see here this clip is 25 seconds long. So let's adjust the range 22. That's going to leave a nice 2 to 3 seconds on the front end. We'll try to accomplish something kind of similar on the back end. And so now we're adjusting the speed of just that range, highlighted in blue, the middle of the clip. And I'm going to crank this all the way up. And then if you want, you can also click ease in, ease out. And that's going to just create, instead of like the speed changing from normal to super fast in an instant, there's going to be a little bit of a ramp up and a little bit of a ramp down when it slows down. So let's see how this looks. Let me close out of here. I think I might need to close out for this to for us to be able to see this. Okay, so there it is. And I might adjust that a little bit too. I think that I would maybe want to bring the range, widen the range a little bit. So let's do that. And then we'll add the easing and let's just check that out. Okay, there we go. So nice little way that you can kind of make adjustments, change the speed of your clips. If you're creating like tutorial videos where you're taking screen recordings, and the screen recording is a little bit slow, maybe you want to speed it up. You can also use the speed tool for that. There are lots of sort of different ways that you could use the speed tool. Um, I do have another clip I want to show you, kind of the opposite effect here. Um, and that is with this skateboarding clip. So here we've got this nice little skateboarding clip, still talking about speed ramps, right? Um, and actually, let me jump out of here real quick. We want to slow this one down. So I want to slow this one down right around here. That is, let's see. 105. I'm looking at the time over here just to see how far into this clip I want to slow it down. So the clip starts around 105, and I want to slow it down around 109. So about 4 seconds into the clip. Okay, so I'm going to open up the effects panel. I'm going to go to speed, and I'm going to adjust the range. The clip is 8 seconds long. I'm going to adjust the range so that we've got about 4 seconds left, and then we'll just bring the end down a little bit too. And we can add the easing. Oops, I haven't actually adjusted the speed yet. So let me do that. We'll slow this one down. It's probably too slow. I might have to play around a little bit to get this exactly right, but we'll add some easing. So just changing the speed opposite direction, slowing it down. And this is going to make the clip last longer in our video clip because we have a section that's moving slower. Let's check this out. Okay, it's slowed down now. So I might adjust the range so that the slow motion starts closer to when they start their kickflip. And then have it speed up right when they land. So I'd go in and fine tune that a little bit. But that's how you can create a speed ramp to slow a clip down as well. All right. Okay, so that is the speed ramp. Next effect I want to show you. Actually, here I do have an example created in WeVideo with the skateboard effect. Kind of after fine tuning and it getting the way I want it. This is what that would look like. So just getting the timing right, and then they land back to full speed. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is colors and filters and how you can achieve a desired aesthetic with color grading. So video editors talk about color correction and color grading. They're similar but slightly different. Color correction is using color tools to make adjustments to make a photo, an image, or a video clip look more realistic, to make sure that the colors sort of match the actual colors on screen. Color grading is you're sort of going for more of an artistic approach. So there's like a particular aesthetic that you want to achieve. And so you're using the same tools, but you're just doing something slightly different. Color grading is more about achieving a specific aesthetic. It's more about sort of the artistic aspects of cinematography and video editing. So here is just an example of this beach scene. You can see it's kind of washed out before I make adjustments. And then once we make adjustments, it's boosting the colors, boosting the brightness, and we get a much better image. And that's a video clip out of the stock media library. So occasionally, it does help to make some color adjustments to the clips. So I am going to come back in here to the editor, and I've got a similar clip here. Okay, beach scene. This one's not bad. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need color correction or color grading, but let's see what we can do with this clip. And I'm going to just edit the second clip so we can do a kind of compare and contrast. So I'll double click on the clip again. to open up the effects panel, and I'll click color, the one we skipped. And we're gonna just boost. We've got some options here: brightness, contrast, hue, saturation, tint, and temperature. You can do some wild things with these. I'm gonna just adjust the brightness, and I'm not gonna go all the way up because that'd be crazy. We're just gonna go a little bit, maybe let's go like 20. You can also, type in the numbers. You could kind of play with the contrast too, like maybe boost that up to like, let's try 5. 10 I think looked good. And then let's boost the saturation to bring in the colors. If I went all the way up, that would be wild, but that's what I'm talking about like color grading and getting artistic. You can really change the scene quite a bit there. I don't like how like these are kind of washed out though if I go too high. So I want to bring in some of the detail and shading. I want to bring that back. So I'm just kind of adjusting this slightly. And we could even adjust the temperature. We could make this kind of like more blue tones or more red tones, a warmer look. And again, I'm just going to try to make this kind of subtle. I don't want it to be too wild. And let's compare and contrast now. So we have these two clips. Why don't we go full screen for this one? So here's our regular clip. And then there's the clip that we added some color grading to. Um, so that can be kind of fun, just like brings out colors, makes them pop, makes them a little brighter. And of course, you can adjust things in all sorts of ways. You could kind of achieve the opposite effect as well. I already talked about filters earlier, but that would be another way that we could apply color grading to our clip. So this is the one that I didn't adjust. I could also go into filters, and I could, choose a filter like, I don't know, maybe Candy 1. I could apply that to all clips or just one. I don't love the way that that one's looking. So to turn it off, I'll just click back on Candy 1, or I can, try another one. See how that looks. Yeah, that's a little bit too bright. So, you'd have to kind of search and find the right filter for that. So yeah, that is color grading. Okay, so next, I want to talk about audio editing. Okay, and I have this quote from George Lucas. He says, "Sound is half the picture." Okay, so thinking about how to really how you can add to your videos through sound editing, audio editing. The first thing I want to talk about is using music to convey emotion and tone. So I have two clips here. It's the same clip, a clip from the stock media library in WeVideo, and then I've just added different music to each scene. And you can feel free to share in the chat. Um, but I want you to think about how would you describe the emotion or tone of the scene, and what do you expect to happen next in the scene? Like when this clip ends, what do you expect to sort of be like the next thing to happen in this scene? So I'll play the first, and then I'll play the second. Feel free to interact in the chat as you're watching these. Okay, and I want to go full screen. I'm going to play this one more time, and we'll just go full screen. Okay, so that's our first clip. Second clip, same video clip, different audio. How would you describe the emotion and tone, and what do you expect to happen next in the scene? Okay, so obviously very different scene here, different setup for the scene, different emotion, different tone. And these are like totally different films, right? One is like feel good, it's maybe a adventure sort of themed film. We've got like, maybe somebody's on a road trip or whatever, and they're having a good time. And then we've got one that's, maybe the setup for like a thrasher film or something like that. And it's the same video clip, it's just different audio. So thinking about just how you can use music purposely to build suspense, convey emotion and tone. Okay, and then the next thing I want to talk about with relation to audio editing is using J and L cuts as transitions in films. And so a basic cut is just when you just cut from one scene to the next, and that's all it is. You're showing one scene and you're hearing one scene, and then you show the other scene and you hear the other scene. Here's an example of that. We're going to cut from a cityscape to a beachscape. We're going to hear the city when we see the city, and then we're going to hear the beach when we see the beach. Here's the example. Okay, so and you can kind of see an image here of how this looks like in the editor. We've got the audio from one clip, and then both the audio and the video cut, and then we switch to the other one, and it's just kind of an abrupt change from one scene to the next, right? And then a J cut is where you lead your audience into the next scene with audio. So before you see the next scene, you're going to hear it. And this is a really subtle technique that video editors use that, as an audience, you might not consciously even notice. And that's kind of the point between J and L cuts, is they create a relation between scenes. They also create sort of an ease of transition between scenes without the audience noticing, because that abrupt change that can kind of take an audience out of the movie, right? But if you have this sort of subtle transition that the audience doesn't even notice, that kind of keeps them locked into the story. But also, you might be trying to convey a relationship between the two scenes. So, for example, this particular example is from this activity we have in our assignment ideas library. It's called The World I Want to Live In. And so the idea is that this girl is in her current place that she lives, and then she's kind of imagining the world she wants to live in. So by easing the transition into the next scene, we're kind of creating a bridge or a connection between the two scenes. So here is what a J cut would sound like, where we'd start to hear the sound of the beach before we see it. Okay, so much more subtle, and even looking for it, it might have been hard to notice, but you could kind of hear the waves, the sound of the waves starting to ramp up, and then really popping up when we see the scene. So how do you do that in the editor? It's really quite simple, honestly. Here we've got two video clips, similar sort of idea, city, beach. This is what we've got. Okay, that's what we've got. Now I've got two audio tracks here. Let's just change this to audio 2, or we could label it sound effects or whatever. And then I'm just going to move this down to the audio 2 track. Actually, I'll move this one down. And I'm going to move this over, extend it out so that it lines up with our clip up here. And do I even need this? I don't need this video 3 track, so let's get rid of that. And I'm going to zoom in using the zoom options over here on the right. And then I'm going to click this audio and opacity button, and I'm going to click show audio level. And that reveals a blue line that shows the volume of my audio clip. And I can actually click on it to create keyframes. And then I can drag those keyframes. And so I might try just kind of slowly fading this in and then kind of ramping it up at the end when we see the clip come in. And then let's see how that looks and sounds. Okay, I think that's pretty good. We could fine tune that a little bit, but I think that's pretty good. And so that is using a J cut, and L cut is just the opposite. The reason this is called a J cut is because of the shape that it makes in the editor. So we can see that between these two clips, it kind of makes a J shape. And then an L cut would just be the opposite. It would be we'll get this out of here. It would be if the sound from your previous clip bled into the next clip. That, if we highlight these two clips, looks like an L. That's why it's called an L cut. And so that can create like a sense of continuity from one scene to the next using an L cut. Okay, so that is audio editing. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is using transitions. Super simple to do in WeVideo. Transitions can be a lot of fun. They're a way to kind of create visual effects within your film. We have a whole library of transitions in the editor that you can use for all sorts of purposes. I did want to just mention the sort of the most frequently used transitions in film are a crossfade and then a fade in or out, which is called dip to black in WeVideo. So a lot of films, will open with a fade in or a dip to black. They'll close with a fade out, or like a scene will end with a fade out, and the next scene will begin with a fade in. It's a way of visually communicating this scene is over or coming to an end. This is a new scene that's starting. It also can just give your audience sort of an opportunity to kind of break from the last scene and prepare for the next scene, especially if it's like an emotionally intense scene. That can kind of just give them a sort of a moment to collect themselves. And then a crossfade, that is where you blend two clips. And so this can be used for a number of purposes. One purpose that it's used for is to signal the passage of time. So the idea here is that transitions are actually used purposely in film for sort of specific visual communication purposes, ways of communicating ideas or information. And so in the editor, if you click transitions, you have access to this whole library of transitions, lots of really fun ones. You can have things rotate three-dimensionally in space. Lots of things you can do. You can kind of play around with here. But here we've got this clip, and it's just this car driving through the desert. So I am going to edit this clip. And so we've got, here's sort of the whole clip, right? I am going to cut out a section in the middle. So I'm going to split this clip. I'm using the split tool, but I'm just using S on my keyboard. And I'm going to split it towards the end. Okay. And then I'm just going to bring these clips together. And right now they look like this. We've just sort of jumped from one point to the next. I'm going to just bring this down a little bit. Actually, I think that actually might work well. So to add a transition, I can click the plus button here at the end, beginning or end of a clip, or in between clips. Or I can drag a transition down. So I'm going to drag a crossfade down. And let's see what this looks like. This is meant to signal the passage of time. Okay, I think that works. Now we can always make adjustments. If I click on the transition, I can make this last. I can make it. Sorry, give me a second. I can make it last 2 seconds, but I seem to be having trouble doing that. There we go. So I can extend that out a little bit. And just a slower transition. I actually kind of like the way that that looks. So that's the crossfade, and specifically using a crossfade for the passage of time. And then I talked about how like dip to black can be used to open a scene or close a scene. So we could always add a dip to black to the beginning and end of our scene. And then it would kind of look like this. Scene starting, passage of time, scene ending. Okay. So yeah, so that is using transitions. And that is all of the content. Those are all the tips that I wanted to share with you all. So thank you so much for joining the session. I hope that you all got some good tips that you can use to elevate your video creation. As you see, WeVideo is a super simple, easy, intuitive platform. You can do some really powerful things using the tools that are available within WeVideo and the stock media library. Right, there's so much that you can do um, uh, very easily, very simply. So if you're not already a WeVideo user, I encourage you to click the button where it says sign up here. You can access a free trial and give it a try for yourself. And then if you want to continue, you can always purchase the product. And yeah, thank you all so much for joining. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.